From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault for Christmas. Grab a book at We Read the Night, join the Space Travelers Club, and stay up to date on the news with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. Reverend Stephanie Redfeather is the founder and director of Blue Star Temple. An ordained shamanic minister, she holds a bachelor's degree in applied mathematics and a master's and doctorate degrees in shamanic studies from Venus Rising University. Her gifts will teach us tonight what it's like to tap into our consciousness and how many of us react to being empathic. She's got a great book out called The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we're going to connect up with CKNW's Drex with the Shift with Drex, which broadcasts straight across Canada. We're going to talk about David Paulides and his latest book, 411 Missing 411 Canada. So stay tuned for that as well as we simulcast across the country. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, first time on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I am good. Thanks so much.
Well, we're glad to have you here, too, because that's kind of what we like to do around here is talk a little bit of, weird, strange, and omnipotent, but that's what you're all about. Tell us how you got started in this field. Did you always have a grounding towards your own spirituality, or was it something you grew into?
Well, I didn't come to the path consciously, like with conscious direction, knowing I was doing it. So in terms of my religious/spiritual background, I was baptized and confirmed Lutheran, and I remember something that the Lutheran Church goes through when you're like 12 or 13 is something called confirmation, and had my little confirmation ceremony and dinner afterwards, and family members are there. And I remember telling my mom, I'm not sure this is my cup of tea. And I'm not even really sure what I meant by that, but I remember saying it. And then by the time I got to high school, I'm experimenting. My best friend was Baptist, so I went to her church for a while. I tried Pentecostal. I tried Charismatic. By the time I got to college, I knew that I had questions, but I didn't have the courage or knowledge or understanding to go deeper. So I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to put this whole God spirituality thing on the back burner, and someday when it's time for me to deal with it, I will. And when that someday came, that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, where I finally had the courage to listen to my own self and start exploring who do I think God is, if you will, as opposed to who I've been told he is. What's my experience of him? And that precipitated a whole lot of other things that came from that, including my understanding of myself as an empath.
How did this affect the people around you at that time? Because when you make a change like that, and you make a change for your own personal direction, there is always some sort of backlash.
Yeah, and the backlash, it wasn't so much in my face like family members or friends saying, what are you doing? You're crazy, get back in your box. I think that the backlash was just watching everything that I thought to be true crumbling in front of me, because, for me, when my spiritual awakening began, it wasn't stovepiped. It's not like, well, I'm just going to figure out the God thing. It was like it affected everything in my life, and there's more that happened that aligned with that spiritual awakening. I chose a career in the Air Force. So I was an Air Force officer for 10 years. And when it was time to leave, it wasn't like, hey, I know what I'm going to do next. It's time to get out. There was this faint calling in my heart that said, it's time to get out. What am I going to do now? And my financial advisor with the company that I'd been with for 10 years that served the military said, hey, Steph, you're good with people. What would you think about being a financial advisor? And I kind of liken it to the first time when someone of the opposite sex pays attention to you in grade school, like, oh, you like me? Oh, okay, cool. I'll like you back. So it was like, oh, you think I'll be a good financial advisor? Okay, let's do that. And I did it for 6 months and quit because I hated it. And so that is really what threw me into the spiritual awakening. And, when that period of time was over, nothing in my life was the same. So my marriage came apart, so I don't know that it was necessarily my husband at the time going, you've changed, I don't love you anymore, or I don't know who you are, I'm leaving. It was more complicated than that. But I was in a new state, new house, new job, relationship fell apart, like everything for me completely upended with my whole spiritual awakening process.
So many people have lost so much, myself included, when they have their own personal spiritual awakening. Why do you think that happens? Why does it affect the people around us so much?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to answer that question from an energetic standpoint, because this is an understanding that I have come to, and I've shared it with a lot of clients and students, that if you consider that everything in the world is frequency, everything has its own individual vibration. We're vibrating, if you will, at a certain rate of speed. We have a certain frequency. And so we magnetize to us things of a similar frequency, people who have similar beliefs, similar values, similar interests, however you want to describe it. And people get used to us. It's human nature to want to be able to predict things, to have that security of knowing how another person's going to act or what they're going to say. And so people are used to you operating inside your box. And so when a spiritual awakening happens, your vibration is getting completely dismembered, if you will, and reassembled, and it creates a new frequency that you hold, so that what happens as a result is everything else that's in your world that is no longer in harmony with that frequency is now in dissonance. And so over a period of weeks, months, even years, everything that's in dissonance is getting vibrated up to the surface to be dealt with, to either reassemble at a new frequency or to be released. Friendships changing, job changing, house changing, location, all of these things. And people can, if they're not super conscious, what they're doing is they're just reacting to the fact that your vibratory rate has changed. You've left your box. You're no longer predictable. You're not operating in the same patterns, and that can be perceived as threatening. Again, all happening at a kind of an unconscious level, unless people have really done their inner work and are able to identify what's happening in themselves, going, hey, why am I having this reaction to this person? And then kind of assessing it from there and dealing with it in a conscious way. Does that make sense?
It kind of does. I mean, I look at it on more of a personal level, that they can't connect to what you're going through. They don't understand, because it's not like you're doing it as a group where you're kind of hanging out together and all of a sudden you all have this spiritual enlightenment at the same time. And I know for me, I had friends all around me that didn't understand what was going on with me. Hell, I didn't even understand. Try explaining it to them. And in the end, they decided that it was best for them to move on. You know, it hurt, still hurts, but, you know, I'm not the only one going through this. There are many people who have had to do this battle alone. Why do you think, spiritually speaking, that the road to spiritual enlightenment can be extremely lonely? Well,
I think because we are the only ones that can walk our own path. It's that dichotomy of being alone in a crowd, that sort of holding the opposites, where we may have people around us, but we're the only one destined for our journey. We're the only one who can walk in our own shoes. And so in the end, we're the one that makes the decision to do this or that, or to let something go, or to, you know, go inside and face our demons or whatever it is. And we can only do that by ourselves. We can have people supporting us, and a lot of times we don't. But it is think of it as the hero's journey or the heroine's journey.
Right. So when you're feeling all alone, how do you build up the strength to go find friends? Because the older you are, like I'm in my mid-40s, it's not easy to find friends anymore.
That's a challenging one. Everybody has a different internal motivation, and it's, you kind of have to assess what your priorities are and what your values are. I think that's going to help direct you to a place where you might find like-minded people. And some people need more people. Some people are okay on their own. It is challenging to find like-minded friends. I don't have a perfect formula for that one. But I think it's a matter of experimenting, and if it's important to have those friends, to have those social groups, to just get out there and keep trying and think of it as an experiment. I'm going to go try this group. I'm going to go to this social gathering. I'm going to go to this whatever and see what falls out from that.
They need a dating site for that. We'll call it datingfrequency.com or something like that. Let's just do it. Let's just put it together. We'll make millions. Millions, I tell you. Datingfrequency.com. You know there's going to be somebody checking out. What's that website that the guy mentioned? You know, one of your followers who doesn't know me or hasn't listened to the show before. What was that? Datingfrequency.com? No, it doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe it does. Somebody type that in and check for me. I know Jeff will. Jeff will on Twitter. He always does. Thanks, Clam. But anyways, in getting to know you a little bit and the reason why you got onto this, why did this all of a sudden become a life path for you? What was your mantra in regards to that? And I use the word mantra very, very seriously because I never get to use that word on this show.
Okay. Well, I think the internal mantra that I had that I didn't even know I had was resilience. Like, just keep getting up. You know, the time in the spiritual crucible for me was a period of about 5 years that I have described as living 100 years in the space of 5, because I lived so many intense life experiences. I was redefining everything. In shamanic terms, we literally call it a dismemberment or a death and rebirth. And so there was something inside me that I didn't know about myself until it happened. And I was able to look back and go, you know what? No matter what happened, I always got up. Something made me keep moving forward, some kind of hope or belief or dream, or I don't even know what it is, but will. You can call it a bunch of different things, but it was really there is something, the rainbow is on the other side, the pot of gold, the self-awareness, the something. I don't even know what it was, but something kept pushing me forward to get through to the other side of it.
Got you. Well, there is no datingfrequency.com. Jeff has pulled up spiritualsingles.com instead. So thanks, Clam. Appreciate that. You can find that at Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. So with yourself, and you went through your own awakening, shall we say, what brought that on for you? Was it something that you just studied into because it caught your interest, or did you have a life-altering experience that took you down this path?
The best way I can describe it is my soul set it up for me, because I certainly would not have signed up for it consciously, because it was just excruciating. It was kind of the perfect storm, which I think is that way for a lot of people, where something happens where you get to a point where what's been working for you doesn't work anymore. And so for me, it was late 20s, early 30s, leaving a career in the Air Force, figuring out what to do next. I had also just started studying Buddhism and kind of opening up to some different consciousness practices. And so I think all of those things came together and just launched me into that crisis time. And it was, clearly what I had done before was not working for me, and I couldn't go back to it. I suppose I could if I wanted to, but didn't want to go back to the military. That chapter was over. One of the things my older sister pointed out was, you never had the period that a lot of young people do in their late teens and early 20s of going through different jobs, trying things out, going to college, experimenting. It was like, for me, I was in high school. I applied to the Air Force Academy. I didn't make it, but my backup plan was a 4-year scholarship, which I got. So my path was laid out. I went through Air Force ROTC in college. So for roughly 16 years, I didn't have to think about who am I, what do I want, what am I good at. I was playing out the role of the good people pleaser and doing what I was told, because the part of me that believed in myself, the part of me that had an opinion, the part of me that had that strong sense of self got knocked down and beat up in my childhood, and so I put that part of myself away. And so when my spiritual awakening began, it was really, in a way, those parts of me that had been hidden that were screaming to be let out, and I had no skills or tools, which is why it was so painful and excruciating for me. I didn't really have a lot of guides or mentors or people to help me understand what I was experiencing. I was simultaneously getting back in touch with the intuitive side of myself, the sensitive, whatever you want to call it, shamanic side of myself, empathic side of myself, and was completely overwhelmed during that period of time. But from that, my business was born. When I kind of stumbled out of the spiritual crucible, as I call it, I realized that I had perspective and gifts and understanding and wisdom that I could help other people going through the same thing and hopefully make their time in the spiritual crucible shorter, less painful, have support, have someone there to help explain what's happening and what they're experiencing. So it was not, from Air Force intelligence officer to, shamanic priestess and minister is one heck of a 180.
Tell me about it. And to go from that, though, I mean, really you go from the mental stability and the mental aspect of being in the military to now having to control your mind and your own emotions through your own empathic ways. How did you combine the two? Because obviously your own opening up would have started long before. You may not have noticed it, but it did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what you're talking about, I frame in terms of the masculine and feminine energies. When I was young, I was very creative and intuitive. I actually went to a creative and performing arts school, like the TV show Fame. And then, fast forward a few years and I get a math degree and go into the Air Force. And it's like, one of these things is not like the other. So there's clearly a big shift that happened. And so in looking back, the way I've described it is that as I was coming into my teenage years and going through puberty, and by that time I had moved in with my dad and stepmom, and my relationship with my stepmom was very adversarial. And my feminine just started feeling unsafe in the world, and so my masculine came in the best that he could and said, I'll save you, and put her in a box and put her away for safekeeping. And so from that point forward, I can really track how my masculine expression, my left brain expression, amped up. And I lived from those energies. And when the spiritual awakening occurred, a big piece of that was reclaiming the feminine energies, reclaiming the right brain, reclaiming the creative, intuitive side. And so a big piece of my work has been balancing those energies and doing a lot to share that with other people and help them identify those aspects within themselves and bring them into balance as well.
We've got about 1 minute before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. I want to start shifting into having empathic thoughts and feelings, because that leads into our thing that we do every day called the Thought of the Day. And I was actually quite surprised by the amount of results we got from that on Facebook and Twitter. When you think of the word empath, what comes to your mind when it comes to people?
Mm-hmm. It's, the simple definition is a highly sensitive person, but more than that, I have a pretty lengthy definition in my book, but it is something we're born with. It's something we chose at a soul level to come onto the planet with a specific set of qualities and a refined energetic sensitivity. So being an empath is not just a skill or a competency or a that sort of thing. It is a way of being.
Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Her latest book, The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. We continue down the road to nowhere, or are we going somewhere? With Dr. Stephanie Redfeather on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have all of you with us. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is our guest, but before we bring her back on, I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, do me the favor, hit the subscribe button on our free YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, because it's almost Christmas time. You can grab a great book at We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has all of the news updated daily. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is our guest tonight. She's got a great book out called The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. And we're talking to Dr. Stephanie right now about being an empath. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
For people who do not know that they may be an empath, what should they look for? What are the signs?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is not an exact science, but what I think would be helpful is, in my definition, I came up with 5 distinct qualities of an empath. Would that be okay to share that?
Absolutely.
There, okay. And let me just say that when I sat down to write this book, my spirit guides gave me one directive, and that was create a definition. Because I really don't think, it's been sort of common vernacular now in spiritual and consciousness circles for a number of decades. And as I said earlier, just being a highly sensitive person is kind of the everyday working shorthand definition. But I really wanted to break it down. And in offering workshops and working with clients and students, I had amassed a really long list of sort of common experiences that a lot of us had, and they started organizing themselves into like items. And so the 5 distinct qualities of an empath were born out of that. So the first quality is the ability to merge with and absorb the energy of other beings, and not just people. So animals, anything with life force, which stems from a very open personal energy field. So this is the quality that also causes us to unconsciously take on other people's emotions and problems and to struggle with boundaries. The second quality is that we have a highly sensitive nervous system. And, by definition, a nervous system is supposed to be sensitive, but it's kind of like we got a 2-for-1 special. So this is this highly sensitive nervous system makes us prone to overwhelm and overstimulation. So a lot of empaths I know are just overwhelmed all of the time because of all the energies coming at them from multiple sources. And so it really requires extra vigilant self-care for empaths. The third...
Most people...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Oh, do you want me to go ahead and finish? Or?
Yeah, just
okay.
Continue them, yes.
Okay. Yeah, sure thing. So the third quality is that we have a great sensitivity to energies around us and an ability to perceive or access subtle information stored in the energy field of other life forms. And so this is, people who are energy healers or kind of psychics, if you will, or channels, the ability to read energetic patterns in another person's energy. This is also the quality that makes it easy for us to tune into the unseen realms. So people that see angels or the dead or have paranormal experiences or do animal communication or, like shamanic journeying or astral traveling and a lot of different things. The fourth quality is the premium that we place on peace and harmony. And that means in our relationships, in our environment, in our own energy field. So we'll essentially do anything and everything to keep our relationships and environment as stress-free and calm and harmonious as possible. And when this happens usually early in our life, it means we're not very likely to rock the boat or to have a strong opinion, or we tend to be people pleasers. The fifth quality is our big open hearts and a desire to serve others. And so this makes a lot of us inclined towards careers focused on service. So a lot of people that are in my tribe, if you will, are massage therapists and energy healers and nurses and hospice workers and therapists and all of those sorts of folks. But this quality also can tend to make us overgive and overdeliver and put everybody else first and put ourselves last. So those are the 5 qualities that I've identified as part of my definition.
When I accidentally interrupted you there,
it's okay.
What I was going to say is so many people out there have no clue what they are going through, whether they are an empath or not. Maybe they haven't even heard of the word before, but they sure as heck know that if they walk into a supermarket, a busy place, maybe a movie theater or a church or someplace like that, they're absolutely leaving that building an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later, feeling that they just got run over by a semi-truck.
Yes.
Filled with emotion. I remember doing that. I mean, I remember, I hate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm picking on religion, but I remember going to taking my daughter to church for Christmas and sitting there, and because we weren't regular attendees, and having all the people come up to you. Oh, hi, how are you? Welcome, to our church, and welcome to the service, and are you going to be attending often? And getting hit with all of this flood of emotions that it was like, okay, staring at people, pointing at them, okay, you beat your children, you cheat on your wife, you're an alcoholic, you go to the bar to start fights, you lied on your taxes, whatever it may be. It was like I could pick these people out like nothing. And when I got home, I almost felt dirty, not because I was in a church, but because of the people that were around. And it was tough to understand and tough to take. I didn't figure it out until years later. How many times have you heard stories like that from people who really have no clue why this is happening to them, and they don't understand what is truly going on?
I hear it all the time. All the time. The way I describe it is that until we know we're an empath, we're an unconscious empath. And as an unconscious empath, we usually live from what I call the shadow aspects, or the unhealthy side of those 5 qualities. And so taking on everybody else's emotions and not even knowing you're doing it. I mean, that's how I was. Because I had no other experience to compare it to, I just thought I was emotionally schizophrenic, because I didn't know there was any difference, and I didn't understand that what I was feeling was not mine. So that is a super common experience for a lot of empaths.
So when somebody is going through that and they don't fully understand or comprehend, it's not that they're foolish or that they're naive. It's they're being shown a spiritual realm within themselves that they just haven't tapped into yet?
Yeah, and I also think of it as an energetic realm as well, because I believe we're all energetic beings. And if you're not aware of that, then, you're not managing your own energy field. So those are some of the first skills that I work with people on, is developing an energy hygiene practice, if you will, so that you recognize that you have taken on stuff from other people and learn to clear that out of your system, to clear that out of your energetic container.
So how does one clear their energetic container?
Yeah. A lot of different techniques, not just one way, but the first thing is becoming aware of it. So you can't work with something if you don't acknowledge it or understand that it exists. So the first step is to consciously recognize, hey, I'm an energetic being. I have my own personal energy field. And to begin to picture it in whatever way your psyche wants to give you that image. So some people see a bubble or a cocoon. I have a client that thinks of hers as a hamster ball. But recognizing that you do have edges, if you will, your boundaries, the edges of your energetic container, becoming aware that you are in charge of and responsible for what you let into your field. And so hopefully that's empowering, because then that means you can clear it, you can choose to invite out of your field whatever's in it. And so there's a lot of different energy clearing practices. I list quite a few hygiene practices and self-care practices in the book. I also have a great video home study course on my website called The Art and Practice of Energetic Clearing that takes people through a lot of techniques. So one simple way that you can do it is to use your breath, because you don't need any special tools. Everybody can breathe. And so taking several deep breaths and then visualizing at the same time, you can think of angels with wings brushing your field. You can think of standing under some kind of special waterfall. If you have kind of a dorky sense of humor, you can think of those automatic cat litter box things where every once in a while a little rake just automatically comes through. So whatever works for you, a little cat box rake going through your energy field, breathing, exhaling, and releasing other people's emotions, releasing anything that's not serving you, whatever you've picked up. I think of it like dust in the house. Dust is not malevolent. It's just an accumulation that naturally happens from animal dander and, dandruff and fibers and whatever, but we still have to dust. And so we need to tend to our field regularly. That is a great first step for people that are just becoming aware of this.
Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking about empaths. So for somebody who doesn't know the signs and the 5 signs that you have listed off just moments ago, and I wish we could hit the rewind button on that because that was kind of cool, how would you break down to somebody who's a complete stranger, doesn't really follow this lifestyle, but just wants to learn because they're trying to figure out what is wrong with them? Why are they depressed? Why do they always feel heavy? Why, when they shake hands with somebody, they feel that energy transfer that just goes right into their body and they take that on. How would you break it down to the simplest of forms?
Well, in the book, I talk about imagining it like colors of paint. We are all fluid, dynamic beings. And so whether you get into the woo-woo stuff or not, we have an effect on other people. It's why we are in relationship as human beings. A basic need is companionship. We need relationship with other people. We affect each other. Our presence is important. So there are plenty of experiences a person can draw from in their life of how you were affected positively by someone else, to then kind of take the step to recognize that you can also be affected negatively, if you will. So it's that exchange of energy from other people is always happening, and we need to learn to be more discerning about what we let in, what stays in, if you will, because if we don't release it, then it's going to start kind of gumming up the system. And other ways that I explain it to draw back to something in physical reality. We have a cardiovascular system. We have a musculoskeletal system. We have an energy system. And our energy systems can get clogged and backed up, if you will, and toxic, just like we can get plaque in our arteries, just like we can have nerve endings that get damaged and nerves that don't fire. So in the sort of esoteric realm, if you will, the energetic realm, similar things happen as they do in the physical realm.
So let's have an example of positive and negative then, as we have about 6.5, 7 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour.
Mm-hmm. So a positive example could just be being inspired. So maybe you talk to your best friend, or you see a moving performance on TV, so something that somebody is saying or doing is speaking to you. It's shifting your vibration. It's making you laugh. It's giving you inspiration or perspective or motivation. That can be a positive experience of somebody's energy, somebody's focus coming toward you and shifting you in a positive sense. An example of a negative could be, for most of us in the workplace, a lot of times we'll have that person that comes into your office and sort of leaves you drained, like they come in and just vomit all over you in terms of complaining or griping or trying to get you to solve their problems or whatever, and when they leave the office, you're just completely wiped out because they sort of came in and did the Hoover vacuum on you and sucked things from you. So it's, does that kind of satisfy your request for a positive and negative, or should I do more?
Yeah. You can continue on. We got time. I think the audience would love to know.
Yeah. Another positive example can be, I get energy work. I'm an energy practitioner. So receiving therapies or modalities that are specifically designed to help raise your vibration or calm your nervous system. Of course, that's a great example of really receiving a boost in your vibratory rate, clearing your energy field, creating more equanimity in your field. An example of negative might be, say a relationship. One of the really common shadow aspects for empaths is codependence. And so if we're not aware of this part of ourselves that can feel what other people are feeling, then what that usually translates into is we can go into another person's experience and take responsibility for what the other person is feeling or not feeling, feel like we have to solve their problems. And so if there's not, if the two people in the relationship are not aware of this dynamic and they're not taking responsibility for their own energy and their own exchange with the other person, then inadvertently we start, that becomes a negative because we're taking on the other person's issues and trying to solve them when it's not ours to solve.
So how does one control these emotions, whether they're positive or negative?
In the end, we can only control ourselves. And so it really does come down to developing an awareness practice and taking responsibility, and that's a journey and not a light switch. I wish it was as easy as just pushing a button, but it is a process. But it's empowering, I hope, if you can recognize that the power is within you. It is within your control. You cannot control another person's reaction, but you can control your own reaction. So it really comes down to developing your awareness, becoming aware of yourself as an energetic being, managing what's in your energy field, choosing what you let in and out, developing the practices for clearing your field, and learning to draw boundaries. That's a big piece I talk about in the book too, because for me, your energy, body, and drawing boundaries are really related subjects.
We've got about 2.5 minutes here before we go to break. As an empath yourself, what have you learned about yourself in your own do's and don'ts in order to make sure you're not taking on too much?
Mm-hmm. Part of... So if you think of one of our attributes as a superpower, you know, the fact that we can be compassionate for another person, we can feel what they're feeling, we can put ourselves inside their shoes. The corollary to that is we usually don't know who we are. And so one of the skills a lot of empaths has to develop is extracting ourselves. We take our locus of identity and we put it in another person, because that's kind of what we're naturally wired to do. So learning to pull myself back out of, especially close relationships, romantic partnerships, or bosses, or family members, you know, significant relationships, pulling my energy back and learning to, getting to know myself, really. I did not really start getting to know myself until I was in my 30s. And so I've learned that I have to give myself the time and the space to hear myself. And because if I'm with too many people, if the pace of my life is too busy and I don't have that time to recenter and reground inside my own self, it's easy to lose myself. So I know that, and I know the practices that I need to do to manage that. Another thing for me is that it's easy for me to get overwhelmed. And so my self-care practices and listening to my own internal triggers of, hey, this is what happens when I start getting overwhelmed, like I start getting cranky or I start feeling ungrounded or my internal RPM start racing or whatever. You know, I've learned what those signals are so that I can notice them and then make a course correction.
How does that make you feel?
Better. I mean, honestly, having those skills, it's very empowering to know that I can manage that. But it's taken time. You know, it's taken a lot of years of inner work to get to that point, because I had to reestablish my own internal communication system with myself. I was so other-focused and used to being motivated by what others wanted of me, expected of me, being a people pleaser, that it took time to shift those habits and learn to take my own counsel and listen to myself.
Makes sense. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to take a break here at the top of the hour. The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness, continues with Dr. Stephanie Redfeather in Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio, coming up after this break.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of one cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDNF AM 1560 in Daingerfield, Texas, and we're on in Reedsport, Oregon, KDUN AM 1030. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ubiquarian. Ubiquarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. You can do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab a book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and don't forget to make sure you read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight we are talking with Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, her latest book, The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. And we're going deep, deep, deep into the consciousness tonight. Dr. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you.
In hour number 2, we always like to grab some questions from our audience in the chat rooms and on Twitter. And I want to start off with Mike here because I think it's a great question. And Mike's a good friend of mine as well. He's got a great beard, a fantastic beard, to be honest. Yeah. And he is asking, are animals attracted to empaths?
I think animals can sense humans who have the ability to make that connection. I mean, to me, the entire sentient world is empathic. I think it's our natural state of being to have those multiple ways of communicating. So not just the way we're used to thinking of communicating as talking between human and human, but energetic or telepathic or however you want to describe it. So, yeah, I think animals can sense it absolutely.
Does that matter whether they're domesticated or wild?
I don't think so. I think they might have different skills, if you will, wild animals versus domesticated animals, but they all have that perceptive ability, the ability to communicate. They are conscious beings. They are sentient.
Interesting. All right. Let's get to some more questions from our audience. This one comes from Hadarak, who is asking, I have spoken many times about my wife being an empath. She feels everything. I have to deal with it daily. She feels our children immensely, every emotion, and having 3 teenagers is not easy on her or me. How do you do it, man? Hold on a second. 3 teenagers? Wow. Anyways, he says, I have to ground her often with the kids. Energy is a good term, however. My wife often speaks in terms of energies, what she sees around people and what she feels. Is this normal for a lot of people?
I wouldn't say it's normal for a lot of people, but it's normal for an empath. I don't know that I could give you a percentage of how many people in the world are empaths, but my belief is that we are a growing lot. So this is something we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, but I believe that empaths are here on this planet for a greater cosmic mission. And so what you're describing about your wife just falls right in the set of normal, if you will, for empaths. And the first chapter of my book is actually called You're Not Crazy, ... but you're not normal either. Normal in terms of Western society, if you will. So we're still an anomaly in most cultures and most societies. But for empaths, she's pegging the meter. She's a normal chick.
Well, okay, let's move on here for a little bit here, because I want to get into the idea of the consciousness aspect. How does being an empath affect daily consciousness?
You're talking like human, kind of the collective consciousness of the planet?
Absolutely.
Yeah. As I was writing this book, I kept getting kind of higher level downloads, if you will, or kind of visions from spirit. So let me frame it this way. Humanity is in a cycle of ascension. And so there are over 30 different cultures that document ancient cultures that have documented a cycle, if you will, a grand cycle of time that is most commonly referred to as the Great Year. So I'm not going to go into all the science and that sort of thing, but it's a 24,000-year period. Some say it's 26. There's a reason for the discrepancy, but roughly 24,000 years. Half of that period of time we're ascending in consciousness, half of that period of time we're descending in consciousness. So if you're familiar with the Greek ages, the Iron Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age, Golden Age, if you've heard of the Indian Yuga cycles, the Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, etc., these are ways of breaking down that 24,000-year period. So no matter which resource or reference you go to, not every single one of them are going to agree precisely on when we've turned the corner, but they pretty much agree that we have turned that corner, if you will, into ascending consciousness. So with that context, I believe empaths are the next level of consciousness, that we are bringing to the planet a refined set of energetic sensitivities, a refined energetic physiology, if you will. And so that we are here to help humanity move into that next level of consciousness. And so if you think in geologic terms, 100 or 200 years is a blink of an eye. And so I've coined the phrase the empathic Big Bang, because all of us who are here right now on the planet and the ones who have come before us are collectively the empathic Big Bang. And in the movie Moneyball, there's the quote that the first guy through the wall always gets bloodied. And collectively, our souls knew that when we chose to incarnate right now, that we were going to be the ones getting bloodied, hacking the path through the jungle, coming into families and systems and religions and societies that didn't understand us, where we didn't have mentors, where we had people that didn't believe us or made fun of us or ridiculed us or punished us or ostracized us. We're the ones that are here setting the stage and creating the field for the ones coming behind us.
That's kind of deep.
A little bit.
Where does meditation play in all of this?
Well, for me, meditation is, there's several results that you can achieve, if you will. Sorry to speak about it so left-brainedly, but, meditation can be a mind training, like to help discipline the mind, depending on what meditation practices you use. It's also a way to raise consciousness, raise awareness, depending on what you're connecting to. So some people choose to connect to spirit or source or consciousness of the planet. It's a way of stilling the mind and gaining clarity. For me, all of these things are important practices. And for a person who's conscious or wants to manage their energy field or do their inner work, meditation is one of many cogs in that wheel.
Okay. I would like you to specify that a little bit more, because I tend to believe that the meditation part is more about relaxing the mind to opening it up rather than, trying to make it part of the cog in the wheel.
Yeah, and by cog in the wheel, what I meant is for how do I want to frame this? For me, my spiritual practice includes many, many practices. Some of them are more body-oriented, grounding, physical embodiment practices. Others are more spiritual, transcendent, connecting to all of the universe practices. And so I'm thinking of all of those practices as different cogs in the wheel. That's what I meant by that. But I definitely agree with you that, one of the great things that meditation opens up is for our ability to connect to a higher source or greater consciousness, or however you describe it, so that you can receive information or clarity or guidance or vision or whatever it is that you're seeking, or whatever is seeking you.
Where do the clairs come into play here?
The what?
The clairs, clairsentient, clairaudient.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that, as empaths or sensitives, we all have our own unique combination of these gifts. So these are all on a sliding scale in terms of how they express for each of us. And so all of the clairs, as you said, I haven't heard it called that before, are definitely expressions of our empathic abilities. For me, clairsentience and claircognizance tend to be the two primaries for me. Like when I work with clients, I get a clear knowing or a clear feeling first. That's how information comes to me. And then clairvoyance is next. And then for me, clairaudience is the lowest, if you will. But yeah, I think empaths definitely can, will probably have at least one of those.
Very cool. Very cool. I got a question from Mike in the chat room. Says, while meditating in the bush, I clearly heard a friend call out for help. Clear as a bell. Was deep in the bush. No people around. What caused or what was this?
I believe that if we are all open enough, if we're all practiced enough, that the ability to have, you can call it ESP, any name that you want to give it, I believe that mode of communication is actually built into every human. So I don't see it as being crazy or weird or unusual. I think it's just dormant for most of us. That it's a form of communication that's just not valued in most societies, and therefore it's not developed. It's like a super flaccid muscle that just never gets used. And so I believe there is, we are connected to our soul group. We are connected to people that we care about, and especially in times of crisis, I've heard stories from lots of people where they knew the second that something happened to somebody died, somebody was in an accident, somebody got bad news or whatever, or, they just, I would just think, you were on my mind, I'm going to give you a call. And the person's like, oh my God, I can't believe it just happened. Here's the news that I just found out, or whatever, So those things to me are not coincidences. I think it's just tuning into information, if you will, that's already present.
Yes, because Mike lives near me, and he's a good friend of mine, and he uses the forest as his own personal church, shall we say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for him to get freaked out by something like that, I know it has to be pretty damn real. Mm-hmm. Pretty real, because we live in an extremely remote area. There's not a lot of people up here. And when you go into the forest and the bushes, and it only takes about 10 miles to get in there where you could be completely lost forever, mm-hmm. it's even scarier. Mm-hmm. So to have that happen, would that be his own guides connecting with him, or maybe his own fears causing that? Almost like a spiritual tulpa?
Well, and, not having any other context about what happened for him, I can only guess. It doesn't feel like a fear. Sometimes our guides do communicate for another person, on behalf of another person. So it may have been that he literally heard the voice of his friend. It may have been that one of his guides helped him connect. But in that dimension, if you will, space and time are an illusion. So it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of nowhere or right next to a person or halfway across the globe or, light years out into space. Distance and time are an illusion in that realm. And so the fact that you can hear something or know something when it's not happening right in front of you is not odd at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, the funny part about it is, the person Mike heard yelling in the bush was me. And I was in town that day, not hanging out with him. And it kind of scared him, weirded him out, which I don't really blame him. But he had a real serious conundrum. Does he go looking for me? Am I playing a game with him?
Right.
And there's nobody around? Like, you can drive for hours on the forest roads around our area, and there is nothing. You'll be lucky to see one vehicle, maybe two, in hours upon hours. Very easy to get lost. So that's why it kind of freaked him out a little bit. Mike's a kind of guy where he doesn't get scared very easily. So to have something like this rattle him, just wondering if it's a spiritual connection or a fear or something trying to get a hold of him and drag him into an area that he shouldn't be going into.
Yeah, and I don't know that I have an answer to that. But it does bring up a great point that so many of us have to kind of come to our own decision around, is when we get information, when we see something or hear something or know something about another person, the question becomes, okay, great, now what am I supposed to do with that information?
And that's the pickle. That's exactly the pickle. Right? Let's move on here. Michael has a question in the Space Travelers Club on Facebook, and he's asking, what are the relationships between empaths and psychics, or are they the same?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say if someone is psychic or has psychic abilities, that they're an empath, that those things usually tend to fall, in the same line. I wouldn't say that psychic and empath are exactly synonyms, but people who are empathic do tend to have gifts of perception outside of the five senses.
Interesting. Do you have to be psychic to be an empath, or vice versa?
Well, and I resist the have-tos, because I don't have hard lines in the sand of what is and is not, because I believe that every human is born with a template. Like I said, my belief is that some years from now, centuries or millennia, empath isn't even going to be a word. It's just going to be synonymous with human, because we will have all evolved enough to where we kind of all are presenting and embracing these qualities in one another. So I believe everybody is born with that template, and it's just a matter of soul choices and life choices of how that's going to play out in their physical life.
All right. I think we got time for one more question here. And it's from Hadarach, who is asking, speaking of crystals, do you feel the energy and the benefits of crystals?
I do. I have crystals and stones all over my house, inside and out. I use them in my healing practice. I absolutely love the mineral kingdom. Again, I believe that they are sentient, that there is a consciousness there, that they each have their own unique vibration or gift that they bring. And that, in the beginning, when I started learning Reiki and started working with clients, it seemed important to kind of memorize all the qualities. Like, there's a lot of books that you can go to and resources that are like, rose quartz is about this and amethyst is about this. And over time, what my guides and what the crystals started showing me was, don't worry so much about what the book says. We will tell you how we want you to use us. And so now when I work with crystals and stones, I just work with them very intuitively. They'll get my attention and tell me what to do with them.
Do you have a favorite crystal?
Oh my, I don't. I love them all.
Mine is sodalite. I have sodalite right on my microphone.
Oh,
right
nice.
In front of me. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good fifth chakra stone.
Yes, because it helps with left-handed people. It's for creative people, and it helps with depression and anxiety. Calm the nerves. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to piece right there.
That's awesome.
Sodalite. Mm-hmm. We've got about 25 seconds here. What else is in your crystal arsenal?
Well, I practice a Peruvian tradition of shamanism called the Pachacuti Mesa tradition, and so I have a lot of specific stones and crystals on my altar that serve as medicine pieces and have specific functions that they perform for me, in addition to the ones I just have around my house for good energy.
That's awesome. You stay right where you are, Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, as we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to find out what it's like between the divine masculine and the divine feminine when it comes to consciousness, empath, you name it. We're getting into it with Dr. Stephanie Redfeather next.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind all of you that you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Read or go get a brand new book from We Read the Night. Boy, did I butcher that one. Sorry. And, of course, you could check out Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is with us tonight. She's a shaman. She is a reverend. She is a doctor. She is also an author of The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. I got to tell you, Dr. Stephanie, I'm having a tough time reading my writing tonight because I was looking at the title of the book and I didn't have my glasses on, and I wrote it down as heart-censored. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And so I put my glasses back up, and there it was, heart-centered. So I tried to, instead of just scratching it out and rewriting it, I tried to, manipulate the letters. And so I'm screwing myself up. So I apologize.
It's okay. That's funny.
I'm that guy sometimes. Way too honest. Hi, Dr. Stephanie. I'm butchering the name of your book.
That's okay. We're all human.
Oh, my goodness. Define for me what the divine masculine and the divine feminine are, please.
Yes. So I need to lay a little context here because I know these are kind of hot terms, and a lot of times, like for example, feminine, divine feminine, goddess, these terms are used interchangeably. And in the book, I define the difference between the archetypal masculine and feminine, the personal masculine and feminine, and the divine masculine and feminine. So they're all related, but slightly different. And so the divine masculine and feminine I think of as blueprints. They are kind of the template to aspire to, if you will. They hold the highest frequency of the masculine archetypal qualities and the feminine archetypal qualities. There's a lot of places I could go with this, so tell me what direction you want me to head.
Well, start from the beginning, because I think a lot of us, including myself, are quite new to this.
Okay. So the easiest place to start is with talking about the masculine and feminine as archetypes. And so we're talking about a set of qualities in this case. And so the masculine energies are associated with the left brain and the right side of the body. The feminine qualities are associated with the right brain and the left side of the body. And so, in a way, you can interchange masculine and left brain and feminine and right brain. And I actually, a number of years ago, read the book called My Stroke of Insight by Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor. She's a neuroscientist who had a stroke. So she wrote the book. It's like having a stroke from the experience of a person who studies the brain. And so she's got an amazing list of what the left brain does and what the right brain does, which really helped me fill out for myself more of the masculine and feminine qualities. So the masculine or left brain qualities are more about lines and definition, edges and boundaries. The masculine energies are more focused. They're outward pointed, if you will. The masculine principle is action oriented. It's about, linear thinking, logic, practicality, accomplishing, getting things done, etc. So if you had to boil all of that down, you can think of the masculine as being the action principle. The feminine principles, the right brain principles, are much more spatial, more about intuition and creativity, compassion, nurturing, and so the feminine principle is much more of the beingness, the receptivity principle. And so in terms of these archetypal qualities, one is not better than the other. One is not more important than the other. And my belief and what I play out in my life is that they each have their place. So depending on what I'm doing in my life, I might be a little more masculine energy, or I might have a little more of the feminine energy going, just depending on what's called for in the moment. But I'm also, in the bigger picture, being conscious of the relationship of those two parts within me. Each body, each human being on this planet has a masculine side and a feminine side. Those are the personal masculine and feminine. So the personal version is our personal internalization of those archetypal principles based on what was modeled for us by our parents and by school and by church and by our culture. So we each have a personal masculine and personal feminine, and they may not get along. They might hate each other. One of them might be a bully or a victim. They kind of take on qualities like a person does. And so, one of the things I work with in people is getting to know those parts of themselves and working on what we call the sacred marriage, which is the relationship between our inner personal masculine and inner personal feminine. So let me just pause there because I imagine you have questions before I go on.
Well, the first question I have in regards to this is, if there is no real different distinction between the masculine and the feminine, what's the point of titling them that way?
Well, there is a difference. The masculine and the feminine are a totally different set of qualities. So I'm not sure. Can you rephrase the question?
Well, you said for yourself it really doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine, so that's why I kind of formed the question that way.
Oh, I'm not sure that's what I said. Now I'm trying to think back to what you're referring to.
Well,
sorry, I'm kind of at a loss there. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay. We can move on.
Okay.
So in regards to the masculine and the feminine, do each and every one of us, no matter what our sex is, have both qualities?
Yes. Yes, and that doesn't necessarily mean, so when I think of the balance of the two or the relationship between the two of those qualities within me or the two of those sets of qualities, it doesn't mean it has to be 50-50. So, depending, it doesn't matter what a person's gender is or sexual orientation or, how they perceive themselves, everybody has a masculine and a feminine. And then from there, it's what is the relationship between those two within their own personal self.
Okay, so as a person is growing and they are trying to define who they are, what they are, their own personal sexuality, their own personal habits, their own personal spirituality, does it matter what side they lean on? Or, like, for instance, can a man identify more with being a divine feminine?
Yes. I mean, it's really personal choice. Now, this kind of brings us into a kind of a bigger, more social conversation in terms of, for most of us on the planet, we live in a patriarchal society, meaning not just that men, I don't mean it to be like men are making the decisions or that men are bad. It's if you take the masculine set of qualities and overexpress them, then they become out of balance. And at least in the U.S. and Western cultures, we have lived for a long time in a highly masculine society. And so, in my opinion, that has thrown us way out of balance in a lot of different ways. And so my belief is that, if I had to apply a general prescription, most of us would need to get more acquainted with our feminine qualities and bring, kind of turn the volume up on the feminine to a certain degree. And like I said, that's a vast generalization. But in patriarchal society, there already exists that imbalance of the expression.
All right. Moving on here, in regards to the divine masculine and divine, why do I always want to say define? Divine feminine. How does either one of these qualities upgrade our human operating system?
Mm-hmm. So our archetypal version, so just talking about the masculine as an archetype basically means, a format, a set of qualities. It's informed by our myths, by our culture, by where we are in consciousness. And so that over time, those sort of archetypal qualities can ebb and flow. They can be a moving target. They might be in a lower version of their expression or a higher version of their expression. So there's fluctuation. There's a human component to it. I think of the divine masculine or feminine as the highest ideal or the blueprint of the highest expression of each of these sets of qualities.
And how does that improve our daily lives?
That is a long and complicated question. So first of all,
have 10 minutes.
Okay.
10 minutes. You can break that down.
Yes. I started to say, well, obviously, but maybe it's not obvious. It depends on a person's values first and foremost. So there may be somebody who's like, I don't give squat one about these concepts. I'm fine in my life the way I am. Then, that's not going to apply for that person. But for me, doing my inner work, reaching my fullest potential as a spiritual being in human form, these concepts are very important to me because it gives me something to strive for. It gives me, it's kind of like the coach, if you will, or the person that has already achieved a certain thing calling you forward and cheering you on. It's an energy. It's a living field of intelligence. And I believe that if we are all more conscious of these sets of qualities, the masculine and the feminine, how they express within each of us, how they express in our families, in our cultures, societies, countries, and planet, then there is a balance, a greater balance, and a respect. When we can become conscious of the relationship of the masculine and the feminine within us, and if you will, do our inner work, our healing, and evolve those parts within us to where they respect one another. The masculine respects the feminine respects the masculine. They walk hand in hand in conscious equal partnership within us. As Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. We do the inner work, then it's going to have a ripple effect, as within, so without, as the one, so the many. And so it can create a shift in consciousness and a return of a respect and mutual valuing of those qualities within ourselves and within each other. And I think that would change everything.
Does it change the way we open up our consciousness within ourselves or to find our own spiritual gifts?
Where I'm currently at in my understanding, the feminine is a little more naturally predisposed for accessing consciousness. So if the feminine energies are that receptivity, that intuitive energy, that place of flow, then accessing or developing or embracing our feminine aspects, I think, can help us in terms of becoming more conscious, raising our consciousness, exploring consciousness.
Do you not have to be careful with something like that, though? Because for those who are uneducated in this, or those who are very, very new to it, it's easy to take the wrong turns down the road of consciousness, spirituality. How do we protect ourselves to make sure that we are going down the right path and not the wrong?
I would start with a different premise, because honestly, who am I to decide what is right or wrong for you? So if there's a choice that a person has made, then there's a reason that they've made that choice. It's serving them in some way. And so I hesitate to be so black and white as to say, well, this is the right path and this is the wrong path, and if you do this, that's the wrong path, and here's how to protect yourself from it. For me, it's not that cut and dried, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We've got about 5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather is our guest tonight. I did want to ask you, in regards to techniques and exercises that people can use to gain control of their consciousness, manifesting good quality things in their lives and for those around. How does this work?
I don't know.
That's a perfect answer.
It is. I can only say that I am so not a there is only one way to do something kind of person. And so I really admire people that are just they are just so convinced and committed, like, here's the way and here's how you do it. And I'm like, I love that. And I believe there are multiple ways. And so I think whatever a person chooses, that's where you start. I don't think there's one place to start. I don't think there's one way to get there. There's just an individual person's way to get there, and it's an exploration. And how that works for them is going to be based on multiple things, including how they were raised and what their belief system is. What other, if you want to think of it as karmic patterns or past life unresolved issues there are to work with. Some people come in naturally predisposed to just explore consciousness and go in these different dimensions and access all of this information, and then there are other people that are like, I can't even get off the ground. So I think it's a very different answer, and I that may not be a satisfying answer for you.
Well, let me ask you this then in regards to it. Does a person's culture, heritage, the way they were brought up, have anything to do with how their own consciousness is going to react to certain situations, whether they're spiritual or in everyday life?
I believe it does, because that is where we get our first set of imprints. As we're growing up, we're looking at how our parents are reacting to things, what's in our schools, what's in our churches, what's in our community, what is valued, what is practiced, what is not. And so a lot of times, especially if it's conservative, if we're raised in a very conservative environment or a very opinionated environment, then it can set up for us that we have a lot of inner work to do to challenge our own beliefs, make decisions about what we learned growing up that serves us and what we need to release to make room for finding our own truth. And that was a big part of my spiritual awakening, was finally having the courage and the conviction to question what I had learned and to make my own choices about what felt like truth to me.
So what is truth?
Ooh, well, that's a big question.
I'm a big guy.
As far as truth with a capital T, I'm not sure that I am qualified to answer that. What feels important to say is I try very hard in my work to not tell people that my truth has to be their truth, recognizing that I am human and flawed and have my own biases and judgments. But finding your own truth, whatever that is I think one of the most important things, and your truth may not look like anybody else's.
Very powerful answer. I do want to say, though, in regards to, and this goes back a couple questions that I asked you previously in regards to the person's, the way they're brought up, does a person's religion have anything? So say they're Buddhist or they're Hindu or they are, Roman Catholic. Does that change the aspect of the spirituality?
I think absolutely, because it's just, again, it's a set of beliefs. What are you taught about your creator, if you will? What are you taught about how your creator communicates with you? Does your creator communicate directly with you, or do you have to go through a go-between? Is your spirituality focused on more consciousness practices, or is it more earth-based? Or were you raised where, I could go on and on. It's the context, it's the framing of that particular religion or spiritual practice. So absolutely, it's going to have an effect on a person's everything. A person's everything.
And on that note, we're going to take a break here at the top of the hour. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather will be back with us for another half an hour. Then we're going to join the shift with Drax right across Canada on the Chorus Radio Network out of Vancouver, CKNW. Stay tuned. A packed Hour 3 on Spaced Out Radio coming up after this.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate you being with us. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, and down in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ubiquarian. Ubiquarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, pick up a brand new book at We Read the Night. We got the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has all of your news updated daily on the SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce Dr. Stephanie Redfeather. She has a great book out called The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness. I should have never, ever crossed over those words or those letters. Never. How are you, Doc?
I'm good.
Oh, that's so frustrating on my part. It really is. It really is. But we're going to move on here in regards to the entire frequency of everything, the human anatomy, the way our mind, body, and soul work together. How important is grounding when it comes to tapping into your own consciousness, tapping into your own empath abilities?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's very important. It is a major pillar of my personal application of these things, as well as in my business, and it comes from this sort of bigger picture inspiration. And I referred to this quote earlier, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so I had this epiphany a number of years ago that what is the point of all of our spiritual practice if we can't relate to the person standing next to us, if we can't speak our truth, if we can't identify our emotions and speak about them? And so for me, this grounding, this embodiment, these are all practices that are important for anchoring our experiences in this dimension. And so it can be confounding, I think, especially for a lot of people that somewhere in their system they have a memory of what it's like in spirit form. Because when we're not in a body and we're in spirit form, things work very differently. Time and space work differently. Consciousness works differently. And my belief is, if all we focus on is the upward movement of energy, the transcendence, there's a lot of emphasis in many ancient spiritual and religious traditions of this upward, we want to bypass the emotions, we want to experience transcendence or nirvana, we want to become one with God. And so those practices are important, but to me they're not the whole picture, because if the point is only to become one with Creator or one with the universe or transcend the body, then what was the point of incarnating in a body in the first place? To me, it just makes more sense that we're here in a body in this earth school for a reason. And so I think some of the underdeveloped skills that we have are how to be in our body, how to fully ground our spiritual nature into the 3D.
See, for me, when you say that, it almost enacts a little bit of fear. And I'll tell you why. And I kind of mentioned this last night during the show. One of my biggest fears in life, as for a lot of people, is death. And for the life of me, no pun intended, I cannot figure out, and one of the mysteries that I have in my own personal quest for everything is trying to figure out, on a godly sense, why would God create us to kill us? Like, what's the purpose of dying? Why does that equate into any type of part or any part of what we have to go through as human beings? And I understand that there are certain questions that we're not going to be able to understand. We're not going to be able to comprehend it. It's if you're a creationist, it's probably a little bit more difficult than just saying, hey, could you put this on Google and figure it out for me? Just doesn't work that way, But on the flip side, how do you deal with the anxiousness, the nerves that go along with that?
Mm-hmm. It is, again, a practice. If I describe it in terms of the chakra system or the energy body, what I discovered when I first started working with clients and learning my natural predispositions and working with people's energy bodies, I realized I was able to sense certain energetic patterns. And what I realized I was seeing or sensing was how in their body a person was. And I think of it in terms of, let me back up and say this. If you think of when this is an oversimplification, but when we're born, when we are filled with life force, if you will, or life essence, it's like pouring water from a pitcher into a glass. So the water comes in from the top, but it fills from the bottom upward. And so I think of it in terms of our life force essence comes in through our crown, but we inhabit from the bottom up, if you will, first chakra to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Over time, being in a human body, having human experiences, trauma, pain, woundings, abandonment, abuse, etc., we learn that, or decide that being in a human body is scary, it's unsafe, we don't know how to deal with it. And so a coping mechanism that our psyche employs is that, in a way, we unplug our roots from our grounding, from the earth, from the 3D, and we start to retract our life force energy back upwards into the body. And so what I have noticed is that many people essentially walk around half embodied and don't even know it, where they've retracted their essence up to maybe the fourth chakra or even the fifth chakra. So they're sort of occupying the upper chakras of the upper part of their body. And so it takes, it keeps, broken record, doing your inner work, doing your shadow work, kind of going to those hard places to look at what do I need to do to re-inhabit my body with all of my life force. And that takes time. And it doesn't mean we have to be there 100%. I have a workbook that I'm just about complete with that I'm about to put on my website called the Embodiment How-To Workbook, Manual and Workbook. And one of the things I say is it's okay to not be in your body all the time. I call it my stare out the window and drool moments, where there are times where I just need to unplug. I need to give myself permission to not be fully present because I need to check out. I need a break. The danger becomes when that becomes a regular coping mechanism, and especially when it's done unconsciously. So I'll pause there because I've been talking a while.
Oh, no worries. No worries in regards to that. So as we go down that path, is there a difference between how an adult handles this situation and, say, someone in their youth or teenage years? Mm-hmm.
So I'm not an official psychologist, I don't have a degree in it, but I've studied a lot of it because it's very interesting to me. And so in the developmental stages, as a child is developing their cognitive skills and physical abilities and all of those things, a lot of the patterns that are set up, the coping mechanisms, the decisions and beliefs are all done unconsciously, which means there's not a conscious process where the child or teenager is going, okay, this thing happened, and that was really traumatic, and here's how that makes me feel, and so I'm going to make this decision about myself, and I'm going to employ these strategies to make sure that never happens again. That doesn't happen on a conscious level, for 99.9% of humans. And so what becomes available as an adult is the potential to then engage with those things consciously because you've lived enough life, maybe done, had a spiritual awakening, consciousness practices, whatever, where you can now engage with those sorts of things consciously and make decisions about it on a conscious level.
Mm-hmm. How does a child do that, though?
They really don't. I mean, so much of it is an unconscious process that's playing out in the psyche.
So, what you're saying, if I got this correctly, is a child, for lack of a better term, would be more or less manipulated into believing what they are taught, whether it's through school, whether it's through their parents, you know, and when I say manipulated, I don't mean in a personal rude way or that their minds are being affected in a negative way, but they have to learn it from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we kind of come in as a blank slate, and so who's writing on our chalkboard? You know, so
That's a
yes.
good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have never figured out to put it in that easy of a context. But yeah, I guess that's exactly what I'm saying is you know, like I look at my children, as I think we've all looked at our own, and you know, trying to figure out, you know, which path are they going to take? Which path should I teach them? Mm-hmm. You know, because that's what we are, is we're life teachers to our children. And, you know, sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes we have to just walk away and try and figure out how the hell did that happen.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. And, you know, but when you have such minds that are in your hands and they're almost like putty, and you're trying to teach them the right way, many children, because their parents are not connected to their own spiritual selves, do not find that on their own right away.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that developed then?
It really depends on, I think, multiple factors, but I really believe that when we're in spirit form, we're making some decisions about the major movements or acts in our life. And so, not that it's 100% scripted, because there's still free will, of course. But, you know, we set up choice points or decision points or particular events that happen. And so, you know, when we're in our human body, a lot of times we just feel or hear an inner calling, whether you think of it as spirit or your higher self or your soul. We become alerted to our internal dissonance or our internal inauthenticity or something that just is, you know, a lot of times people don't even know how to describe it. They're like, something happened. I heard a calling or I felt something and I know I just had to go explore it, or I had to figure out what it was. And so a lot of times it's an internal voice that's calling, and because I'm speaking from experience, if we don't hear it when it's at a whisper or an elbow in the ribs or a slap on the shoulder, we will attract the two before to the forehead to get our attention. And so earlier in my life, a lot of times I didn't embrace change unless it was a high amount of trauma and drama, because I just wouldn't listen when it was more subtle.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. We only have about 6.5 minutes left with you tonight, and this is something that has flown right by tonight, and I say thank you for that. Why did you write The Evolutionary Empath, a practical guide for heart-centered consciousness?
Because I needed this book 20 years ago. You know, when my spiritual awakening began, even then, there were not the resources and references that there are now with radio shows and podcasts and, you know, all of the different ways in which we can get information. I had very few mentors. I did not know what was going on. I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling and going through. And so to me, this is my legacy, if you will. This is me being of service to humanity, from, you know, making my own life mean something by sharing what I've learned and putting into words some of these esoteric concepts that are hard to grasp, and these practices that I desperately needed, these tools in my toolbox for clearing my energy and, you know, establishing boundaries and figuring out who I was. I want other people's journey through this to be easier than mine was.
So why do you think yours was so difficult? Why was that the path you chose, or, as many people tend to believe, you signed up for?
Yeah, because if it, for me, what has become very clear is the importance of the experiential learning, the body felt wisdom. So learning something because you experienced it and came to that conclusion and felt it in your own body, as opposed to reading about it or somebody telling you about it. And so I had to go through these life experiences. I had to be a dancer, an artist, and singer, and then get a math degree and go into the Air Force. I had to shut my feminine down and bring her back. I had to be an unconscious empath for 30 years and then become conscious so that I could have these clear experiences and understanding to be able to share from an authentic place.
And how do you feel about yourself now?
I love myself a whole lot more than I used to. I have much more confidence. I have much more understanding of who I am and a greater ability to move through life's ups and downs with grace, to trust myself and to trust my inner knowing. Those are gold, at least to me, in terms of what I value.
Andrew on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio has a question. He is asking, when you say you do inner work, do you conduct some of these exercises in the presence of another, as in another therapist or counselor? Do you sometimes check in with a witness of skill who witnesses and reflects back to you?
Yes, and yes. So my inner work has been everything from cussing at God in the middle of the night to having a screaming hissy fit and sucking my thumb like a child, to working with all manner of energy healers and coaches and shamanic practitioners and doing shadow work and multiple modalities, and many of them somatic and physical, to journaling and having conversations with my higher self. So all of that to me is lumped under the category of inner work.
And with that, who would you go to? Do you have your own spiritual mentors that guide you?
I certainly do, yeah. And in the earlier part of my life, they were absolutely valuable and critical. I don't need them as often now. I certainly still have people to go to. I'm able to facilitate my own self through a lot more than I used to, but I also recognize when I'm up against something that I can't facilitate myself through, and I just need somebody to hold space or talk me through something, or, like my intuition usually tells me what technique or person I need.
Well, that's interesting. So basically, you have your own human guides rather than having to use or rely heavily on your spirit guides.
Oh, no, the spirit guides are always there. I mean, when I talk about my intuition or listening to myself, I probably wasn't clear in this, but to me those are all synonymous. Like I am plugged into my spiritual team, my higher source, my trusted guides at all times. As much as all times as I can.
Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, we're into our final minute here with you tonight, and I want to say a big thank you for you coming into Spaced Out Radio. I know you're not used to these long interviews, but you did very well, my friend. Very well. Dave. And I hope you had a good time with us.
I did. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Could you do us a favor? Let everybody know where they can get your book.
Yes, absolutely. Any place books are sold. So whatever your favorite place is to walk into the store or online, you can also find out more at my website, which is bluestartemple.org.
Oh, very cool. bluestartemple.org. Make sure you check it on out. Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Very much appreciate you taking the time for us. And we will do it again soon. Thank you so much. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're heading to Vancouver, British Columbia, we're heading on to the Chorus Radio Network. We are going to simulcast live with The Shift with Drex. We're going to talk a little bit about David Paulides and the strangeness of people disappearing in the number 2 cluster in North America with Drex. Next on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to CHIVEcharities.org and become a donor today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Throughout the United States is We are glad to be back with you, my friend, as we simulcast live on Spaced Out Radio, coming back from our commercial break. Always a pleasure to have you, my friend, doing this with us. Well, David Politis, we have to understand who he is. He's a former police officer down in the state of California of 20 years. He did a lot of private investigation. And one day he was, I guess, camping at a campground and started talking to these forest rangers who started talking about these missing people that just vanish out of thin air. Okay, this is after the police do their job and you know, they find that there's no suspects, there's no cars around. Like, we're talking people who leave their cars there, their wallets there, everything, and they are gone. There's no footprints. There is no smell for tracking dogs to pick up. They just vanish like they didn't even exist. And he started watching these trends, about 10 years ago. And he noticed that there were these clusters of people over the decades that would just vanish. So he came up with this set of rules and guidelines that kind of describes how he goes and picks out a case. So, for instance, if a canine cannot find a scent, that is one of them. Is there a weird weather pattern? So let's say, we're having a great sunny day and somebody disappears up on Cypress Mountain, and within the next 12 to 24 hours of the search, all of a sudden a typical thunderstorm rolls on in. Victims found in an area where they previously searched, but there was nobody there. Missing clothes or shoes. Yeah. There's a case out of Yeah. Yes. He told me this story of a young girl, 30 months old, in Saskatchewan, who disappeared. This is going back to the 1950s, 60s. Disappeared, just vanished into thin air. There was over 400 searchers searching around the farm for her. Could not find her. All right, they checked the farmyards, abandoned farmhouses, everything. Thunderstorm rolls in. Nobody is there. Nobody can see anything. All right, storm blows away, and they decide to go look inside this abandoned house again. And here is this toddler laughing away, playing in a bathtub, naked in the house. And when they asked the toddler where she was, she said, "I was up on a hill being warm." And in the meantime, what's ironic about that, according to David, was that all the hills around there, they set up perimeter bases with fires. So that way everybody who was on the search overnight could see the tops of the hills. And this young girl was not there. Yet here she was in the house that had already been searched. There is literally hundreds of them out there. But the one thing in his brand new book, Missing 411 Canada, Unexplained Disappearances, okay, this goes beyond murder, this goes beyond kidnappings, and in his book, I would say 1/3 of this book, or close to it, 1/4 of this book, is strictly on cases in British Columbia. I thought it would have been Ontario. Well, I'll tell you this. He has investigated personally up in this area numerous times. British Columbia is one of his favorite places to come. And what he has noticed is the pattern surrounds the Cascade Mountains. Now, what is going on there? Who knows? But he says it really starts from Whistler right down to Cypress Seymour and Grouse and continues on through the Maple Ridge area into Mission. And he doesn't know what is causing this. Okay, now if you read his books and you understand the man, he is a member of MUFON for 16 years as a UFO investigator. He is a Sasquatch researcher as well. Now, he doesn't give his opinion on what he thinks it may be. He leaves that up to the public. What he does is he states the facts of people who have gone missing over, say, the last 100 years where things just don't add up. Okay, and a lot of the... Go ahead. Well, looking at some of the names that are listed, and we can go right through here. I mean, from 2010 until 2018, there's probably 15 people. 15 people that would have been covered on CKNW in the news as missing, whether they were skiers, whether they were hikers, whether they were people just walking around Lynn Canyon and just vanished. This is part of the issue that we have. And they're all different ages, ranging from 20 years old up to 69 years old. Like there is, and here's the other interesting part that David finds. Most of the people who go missing happens all around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is one of the mysteries he is trying to figure out. Because when you're dealing with the unknown on why people are just vanishing, you look for patterns. And the patterns that always seem to come up is the time they were last seen is around 4 p.m. Yes. Oh. Well, we have to go a little tinfoil here, and I realize some people are going to roll their eyes. I think we got to get a Drex and Dave T-shirt made of tinfoil for some people here. I really do. Exactly. We'll put it on Bob there. But what our listeners are looking at here is three things. All right. We know the Cascade Mountains, through research, has a high concentration of UFO sightings, which is very strange considering that's a flight path towards YVR. We also know that the Cascade Mountains have had Sasquatch sightings. And the other belief is, what if there are such things as portals? We know scientists through CERN and other groups have been studying portals and dimensions on whether they truly exist. Now, what happens if one of these people walks through one of these portals, these energy portals, and to them, they hadn't even noticed because they go about their day, their friends are there. But on this side, they're gone. When you start reading into his stories, especially his latest documentary of 411 The Hunted, where you get people, Drex, who are outdoors people. They're just not like you and me who take a casual jaunt into the forest and something strange happens. You look at... Exactly. Absolutely. And when you hear that, okay, and you hear those stories about these hikers or these hunters that go absolutely missing. Their guns are gone, their bows are gone, there's no trace of tracks, there's no blood trails, there's no drag trails from animals or predatory animals that could have taken them. There's no footprints outside of their own. There's no footprints out. They are just gone. It's very, very strange when that happens.
Let me ask you this, Dave. I followed, from a distance what David's been working on the last couple of years here. And the one pattern I noticed as well, and I'm sure that you've probably asked him about this as well, some people go missing, never to be found again. But some people, like the 30-month-old girl, would go missing and then would be found a few hours later. The one pattern I see over and over again, especially with the ones that have been located, is they're always located in a place that would be difficult for them to get to in the amount of time that they've been missing from the place where they went missing.
Absolutely, and that happens all the time, especially with children. When you have let's say a 2-3-year-old child who disappears in an area, okay, let's say Lynn Canyon, and the next thing you know, their body is found 12 miles away. And that has happened in some of the cases in the United States where this has been tracked. I mean, how does a 2-year-old within hours move 12 miles? You know they would have had to have been picked up.
Yeah, and that's just the main thing that sort of plays in my mind, because sometimes these people are found alive, sometimes they're found dead, and in that case of the 30-month-old baby, they ask her, "Oh, where have you been?" "Oh, I was warm on a hill," and that would be so discombobulating to someone who's trying to figure out what is going on. So, what are some of the popular theories around that, where someone goes missing yet they're found a few hours later, either alive or deceased, in a place that many of us would agree would be difficult to get there in the time that they've been missing?
Well, the first theory is who took them. We always look for the human theory, and that's what David does when he does his research. However, as he moves forward and he starts getting the investigations, whether it's through FOIA requests, whether it's through interviewing witnesses, the family members, whoever it may be, people who are on the search, he starts adding up the clues. And the problem that he's having is all of the clues do not depict a human being doing this, right? Especially, here's the interesting part. When tracking dogs are used, they either cannot pick up the scent of the person, or, here's the even scarier part, the dogs smell something that absolutely scares them so bad, they lie on the ground, refusing to move, and they actually urinate on themselves.
Wow, they're so frightened by what they've just experienced that happens. Wow.
And these are dogs, tracking dogs, that are used to bears, used to cougars, used to grizzlies, used to moose, deer, wolves, you name it. They're used to that. Their job is to find that person. But there is something on the scent trail that absolutely scares them. We also know through Sasquatch research that dogs will be quite timid and afraid of Sasquatch being around, and in fact urinate on themselves because they are so scared and petrified of the creature that is out there.
I love the fact that Pilatus is basically, especially with Missing 411 Canada, and we're planning on trying to get him on the show and talk about the book a little bit more, that he lays out the facts. Here's what we know. Here's who went missing. Here's where they were found, if they were found, and here's all the different anomalies as part of this as well. How many stories are in this Missing 411 Canada book? It seems like the type of book I wouldn't be able to put down.
Well, put it this way, there's 335 pages in this. I burnt through it in a weekend. Usually a book like this, it would take me a week. I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down.
You're a guy that worked in a newsroom for many years in Vancouver. When you were going through this Missing 411 Canada book, was there some familiar stories that came up?
You know, the ones that kind of caught me was because I live up in the Caribou now, was an interesting story of a young boy named Clancy who disappeared in 1966. This was a 9-year-old boy. He's out at Green Lake, and he's just hanging around, going to get a hot dog. Vanishes. No clue. Never been seen since. Never been seen. And that was one of the ones that kind of stuck out with me because, you know, when it's close to your area, you really, really try and focus on what's going on. Now, I thought I would see somebody like Michael Dunahee on here or somebody along those lines, but I didn't see it. I don't recognize any of the names, but I'll tell you, since about 1984, there's probably 50 people. 50 people that have just vanished.
It's sobering to think that someone could just vanish into thin air and never be heard of again. And I'm glad that there. And it's not just David Pilatus working on this. There's a whole bunch of people that are involved in the Can-Am Missing Project. How many volunteers do they have? Because they got former law enforcement that all help them sort of investigate these missing person cases, don't they?
Yeah, he has a team. And I'm not sure the quite number, but he has a team around North America. See, here's the problem that he has, is getting information, because a lot of these cases are still open cases, which means that the RCMP up here in Canada or local police forces are not going to give up that information. So you have to go by FOIA requests, you have to go by media, you have to go direct to the source, to the people who were investigating. That's how they're able to piece these stories together. They go by a lot of what the media says as well. David has a collection of thousands of media reports on all the cases that are out there. All the cases. One of the cases, if you remember this, it's not in British Columbia, but do you remember Daniel Philippidis? From about a year ago.
Tell me about that real quick. Yeah, tell me about that real quick.
He's the Toronto fire captain, who went skiing with his buddies at Lake Placid, New York, disappeared on the mountain, and was found a few days later in California.
I do remember this. Yeah, that's a strange story, and we never really got to the bottom of how he got across the country, because even he doesn't know.
Yeah, he still doesn't know. Now, David has talked to him. And we talked about this case on Spaced Out Radio. And this one is still strange. David is still trying to figure it out. I mean, he had no ID. All he had was a credit card. Showed up in California. Doesn't know the truck driver that dropped him off. Okay, showed up in California, still wearing all of his snow gear. His snow boots. His skiing boots, pardon me. His snow pants. His snow jacket.
Yeah.
Bought a cell phone. Pay-as-you-go cell phone in California, called his wife because somehow, even though he couldn't remember how he got to California, he sure as heck remembered his wife's phone number and called home and said, "This is where I am."
And here we are, years later, of him not knowing. Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio joining us tonight. Simulcasting our shows, talking about David Pilates' book, Missing 411 Canada. Mr. Scott, thank you so much. Fascinating stuff of what Pilates is working on. We're definitely going to get him on the show.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And good luck. I put in a good word for you guys. I told him that you guys go coast to coast, and you guys definitely need to. He definitely needs to do your show because I think he'll absolutely blow your listeners away.
All right, Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. Dave, let's chat again next week at the same time, okay?
Talk to you next week.
All right, there you go. Dave Scott, Spaced.
All right, everyone. Hey, I want to apologize for the audio on my end, everyone, because I clicked the button to turn Drex on because I had to adjust his levels, and somehow it shut off. So I apologize about that you missed a couple of questions that he had asked right off the bat. So that was a technical snafu on my end. We'll make sure that next week that doesn't happen. So I apologize. Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we? Hate that program. Hate it. We're going to fix that soon. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. If you are an empath, what difficulty do you have in being one? Jeremy, I do lots of overthinking. My mind wanders. Catherine, feeling everyone's emotions and not being able to process your own. Kelly, I don't know if I'm an empath or not, but I see or hear people that have passed and feel the sadness they felt or currently feel. Shayla, always being exhausted after being around any amount of people, the overwhelming tsunamis of emotion and wanting to be there for everyone, but burning yourself out in order to do so, not knowing if you're feeling your emotions or someone else's. That's deep. Way to go, Cheryl. Tanya, I think the difficult thing about being empathic is to learn to understand if the emotions you are feeling are yours to begin with. And if you are emotional, you are likely to feel those emotions much deeper. All of the empaths I know have problems with depression and anxiety because of this. Sparky, the hardest thing for me is being within a crowd of people. Even though I do have a protection technique that I do it, I still can be very hard to block energy, especially when strong negativity is being projected. Lana, being touched. Belle, I hate being in a mall at Christmas. Everyone is in a bad mood, kind of, and I feel it all. It's definitely not the most wonderful time of year. I want to say a big thank you to everybody taking part in the Thought of the Day today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Big thanks to Drex at CKNW on the Chorus Radio Network for bringing us on the shift, talking a little David Pilates, and to Dr. Stephanie Redfeather for hanging on out, talking about empaths. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. William Pullen, Nicole Saxage, filling in for Chris Cogswell, Reality Paranormal. Talk to you tomorrow.